Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another True Crime Time with Junebug. That's me. And it's been a minute. I was about to say I apologize, but only 3 people watched the last one, so I guess I'm just speaking into a void here. But I do get enjoyment out of doing this, and I'm gonna research the cases anyway in my spare time. I may as well try to share the information with someone. But last case was bonkers, to say the least. Murder over Yahtzee. But I give you that, and then I'm gonna give you this case. And I want to know, you 3 people who watched the last case, and if you same 3 people watch this one, which one of these cases is the most outlandish? I want to know your opinion, because they're both insane in their own way. I almost think this one's a bit bonkers. Neither are great though. So let's get into it. So today we're going to talk about Jimmy Knighton. He's the victim in this case. And this happens July 9th/10th of 2022. So this is actually, is it the most current case I've covered? Maybe? And I always see the age of the victim in case anything with children bothers you, but there's no children. He was 52 at the time of his passing. And this takes place in Allen, Oklahoma. And again, the silver lining is it is a solved case. So before we dive too much further in, some notes. There's not a ton of info. It's pretty cut and dry, and it's weird. So Jimmy Glenn Knighton was born April 15th, 1970 in Ada, Oklahoma, to Della and Glenn Knighton. And I saw he also had 2 sisters. He attended Allen High School. He would go on to be self-employed at a frame and body shop for 15 plus years. And I don't know about any marriage, but I did see he had 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys. And he had 8 grandkids at the time of his passing. And it was said in his obituary, he loved anything and everything outdoors, hunting, fishing, 4-wheeling, playing in the mud, etc. He just loved it. And his obituary stated, quote, "Jimmy never met a stranger and would give anyone the shirt off his back," end quote. Sadly, it seems he probably should have let at least one person remain a stranger, and that person's name is Larry Doyle Sanders. And I do want to reference, when I was doing research and you just look up Larry Sanders, there's a basketball player. It is not the basketball player. This is just a random Larry. A weird Larry. Speaking of Larry, the 3 main things you should know about Larry. Well, okay, 3.5. The half is he's not the basketball player. 1, he's 56 years old now. I think 50s, mid-50s. He's a bit crazy, as you'll see. That's 2. And 3, he believed in Bigfoot. Unfortunately, it pertains heavily to this case, so just need you to know that he believes in Bigfoot. And I guess another bonus would be, pretty sure he does drugs, because I don't know how this could happen without drugs, honestly. Now, I don't know how Larry and Jimmy met, or if they're childhood friends, or I don't know the friendship situation, but they were good enough friends at least to go on a noodling fishing trip together on July 9th of 2022. I also saw on a source, apparently good enough friends for Jimmy to give, hire Larry. I don't think Larry had started at the body shop yet, but he was going to in a few days. But I only saw that in a news article. So I guess take it with a grain of salt. Now, noodling. If you don't know, because I wasn't entirely sure, I had a feeling what it was. I was pretty close. But noodling is very prominent in the South. It's basically, I know it's common with catfish. I don't know if you could do it with any other fish. The ones with the big mouth. So essentially, you're just fishing with your arms. You just let the fish, you sit with your arm, you let the fish clamp on, and you pull it out. I'll show a picture, because you all know what I'm talking about. You just Probably didn't know it was called noodling. Anyway, that's the kind of trip they were on, just two men noodling. And this is all according to Larry, by the way, because Jimmy's not here to tell his part of the story. So when they were fishing, noodling, I guess Jimmy like had spotted a fish in the water, and he was like telling Larry like, get it, get the fish, like dive under, get the fish, like excited. I don't know why he couldn't get the fish, but besides the point. Now, Larry refused to get this fish because he didn't want to go underwater and take his eyes off of Jimmy, which, okay, I guess. But the reason he didn't want to take his eyes off of Jimmy was because apparently Jimmy had just used like a drain pipe to to summon Bigfoot. Yeah. So apparently he didn't want to go underwater because Jimmy summoned Bigfoot, and Bigfoot, or some news article said 3 littler Bigfoots, like a singular Juminus Bigfoot or 3 just regular sized Bigfoots, are now downstream, like farther downstream, because Jimmy called them. And then Jimmy was going to drown Larry and then feed his body, like just have it float downstream to feed the big feet or the Bigfoot. And that's why Larry didn't want to get the fish. I can't make this shit up. So I guess they kept like going back and forth. He's like, come on, just get the fish. And then Larry's like, no, just terrified, not doing it because he doesn't want to get fed to a 12-foot Bigfoot. But anyway, they kept arguing, and then I don't know why he didn't escalate in the water, but apparently later that evening, it escalated into a physical fight between the two men, and Larry ended up strangling Jimmy to death over Bigfoot. Now, the next day, which is why I mentioned July 10th at the beginning, Larry was actually arrested for an outstanding warrant, so something different. I don't know what it was for, but it was outstanding. I also seen sources, again, things varied a little by source. They all agreed that Larry, kind of crazy, and he insisted Bigfoot was there. But these smaller-ish details, I guess, were different. Some were saying they found him telling family members he had killed Jimmy, or there's other sources that say he called the officials himself and told them he did it. Either way, he was arrested, and Jimmy's body was actually found later that day. I forgot where. And so after that, he was obviously charged with murder. So July 9th, Bigfoot and strangling, and then the next day he's arrested and charged with murder, and Jimmy's body is found really fast, which I guess is good, I guess. Now, he's obviously being charged. There's not really a way he can, they could say they got the wrong guy. So his trial, I'm gonna just highlight some key points from that. 1, he had no jury trial. 2, he took the stand on his own behalf at some point, which I feel like the other team was like, sure, go for it. Great. And then his defense attorney's probably like, oh my Lord. 3, so his lawyers were trying to use the self-defense defense, saying he wasn't trying to kill Jimmy, he was just trying to control the situation. I guess. But at this, I was like, what would they even use for his defense? They obviously went with self-defense, but I feel like maybe it would have been easier for them to do the insanity plea. I guess the self-defense would be against Jimmy, because I'm like, how can you claim self-defense against Bigfoot? But I realize now it's for Jimmy. Yeah, so let me know below if you think, those were the 2 things I thought of. They were either going to try to do self-defense or the insanity plea. I thought they would do insanity. They didn't. What do you think? Based off of this, were you surprised at self-defense? Now, 4. It was believed Larry was experiencing meth-induced psychosis at this time. When they were noodling and he saw Bigfoot, not at the trial. Which explains a lot, I feel like. I don't know if Jimmy was on meth. I'm gonna guess probably not. And then 5. He was found guilty. Are we surprised? And he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, he was found guilty in April of 2024, and he was sentenced in June of 2024, which I guess is probably an average speed for our justice system. I'm not entirely sure. The cases I cover seem to either be like 1 week or it's 10 years. There's like no in between. So that was the case of Larry Sanders killing his friend Jimmy because he thought Jimmy was going to feed him to Bigfoot. I know it's solved, like Larry obviously did it, but at the same time I'm like, okay, the meth-induced psychosis makes sense. Maybe because I don't have Larry's brain, I don't know how he thought this was ever gonna like work out, or if he didn't. I don't know. Larry's a interesting fella. A shitty fella, kind of stupid, but he's a fella. So had you heard of this? I had not. Oh, I did have a quote from the district attorney. I think it sums it up perfectly. Quote, "Yes, there was a monster in the woods that night, but it wasn't Bigfoot. It was Larry Sanders." End quote. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. And I'm glad he's just gonna stay behind bars. We don't need him. Even Bigfoot's probably like, oh, thank goodness. That guy gives me a bad rap. That is it. Very short. Very weird. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time, whenever that may be. Don't know what I'm covering next. I don't think it's this crazy. I hope. But till next time. Bye, guys.